Hello and welcome back to my channel, Craft Time by Casey. I'm Casey and today this is the necklace that I will be making. It is a multi-strand floating pearl necklace and I just absolutely love the way that it came out. I love that longest strand, how it has that length of chain in between and gives that illusion of the floating pearl in between. I just think that looks awesome. And I love how the white glass pearls kind of play off of the bright silver of the metal in this necklace. And I just love the way that it came out. So if you would like to see how this necklace came about, then stay tuned. So let's get right into it. I'm going to start off by quickly going over the tools that I will be using. I have 2 sets of chain nose pliers. I will also be using my round nose pliers, and I'm going to be using my set of cutters, and I will be using my set of crimping pliers. And I mentioned my tool set a lot. I'm going to mention it one more time. I will have this link below. I strongly recommend this tool set. It definitely it works for me. It has adult size grips. That's the biggest thing I can say for it. It's also very well made and very sturdy, and it is just, to me, it is absolutely worth it. But even if you don't get this tool set, strongly recommend investing in your tools. And this is called the Casual Comfort set of tools, the Casual Comfort set. And I strongly recommend it. I will also be using 49 strand bead along wire. I always get the 100 feet because I go through it so quickly. And it is the color Bright, which is the silver color. And so I have in my head a multi-strand necklace, and I know in the video you are coming from the finished product, but at this point I'm still kind of, I obviously have an idea. I've got my parts here, but we'll see how it comes together. I have very high hopes. So I cut a strand of wire here, and this strand of wire is, if I hold it up here, this is about half of it. So the whole strand is about 24 inches because I'm holding half of it here. So one of my strands in this necklace is going to be a wired strand. So here is how I get this started. I'm going to put on a crimp tube, a jump ring, and a guardian wire, which I'm going to put through one side, wrap it around, and put it through the other. And then I'm going to make sure I put the jump ring on the inside of the guardian wire, and the crimp tube has, make sure that the crimp tube has both sides of the wire in it. The tail is just a little bit too big, so I'm going to pull it down a little bit. And then I'm going to pinch this guardian wire closed with my fingers. And then I'm going to hold this wire apart. Pull this down here to make sure that it's nice and snug. All right, and now I'm going to grab my crimping pliers. I'm going to go into that second divot and give it a good smash. Get that taco shape, turn it on its side, go into that front divot, give it another smash. And then I like to go in with that last part, that flat part on the end. Give it the final smash. Make sure it's nice and tight like that. And then I'm going to hold that jump ring, and I'm going to place this crimp cover right on top of the smashed crimp tube. And then flip it up. Go in with my chain nose pliers. Give it a good smash. And then I'm going to go front to back. Make sure it's got that round shape. All right, and there we go. That's how we're gonna start this strand. And these are the beads that we will be using. It is 3 different sizes of the exact same glass pearl bead. And for this strand, we're gonna be predominantly using this middle size, which is 8 millimeters. But to have on each end, we're gonna start off with the 4 millimeter. And then we're gonna be using this spacer from my own stash. And then at this point, it's going to be a back and forth between this 8 millimeter bead and the spacer. So we're gonna go on the other side and make sure that tail is tucked into the bead. So just like this, and with this 8 millimeter bead, we're gonna go back and forth between the 8 millimeter and the spacer all the way across, and this strand will be 22 inches. All right, so here is the strand all the way beaded up, but we have not closed it off yet. So again, this strand is going to be 22 inches. This is the center strand of the multi-strand bracelet. So here is how I'm going to close it off. I'm gonna put on a crimp tube, a jump ring, and a guardian wire. Put it through one side, wrap it around, and put it through the other side. And you wanna make sure your jump ring goes in the guardian wire. I'm gonna go ahead and pinch that guardian wire closed with my fingers. And I'm gonna hang on to that guardian wire and make sure both ends go through the crimp tube. All right. So now I'm gonna hold on to that jump ring a little bit, bring the tail down, and I want that tail to go through the first few beads. So I'm gonna send it through. So I'm gonna grab that tail, hold on to the guardian wire, and pull that through. Now, you definitely want your necklace to have some flexibility. You don't want it to be too snug, but you do want it to be snug. So I'm gonna kind of curl this up down here a little bit so that there's some mobility in this strand. So I'm gonna hang on to that tail and to the beads it's right next to. Then I'm gonna go into that second divot of my crimping pliers and give it a good smash. Get that taco, turn it on its side, go into that first divot, give it another smash. Then I want to go in to that last flat space and give it that final smash. I'm going to take that crimp cover, place it right over that smashed crimp tube, and flip it up. I'm gonna go in there with my chain nose pliers, give it a good smash. Then I'm gonna go front to back. I'm gonna take my cutters and get as close as I can. Then I'm gonna put that tail into the next bead, just like that. All right, so here is the middle strand, and it's finished at both ends. So now we will make the longer strand. So for the longer strand, we will need an eye pin, just like this, and we're gonna make the component parts. This is the strand where we will use all of these smaller pieces of chain, and I will be using these bead caps from my own stash. Bead cap facing up, large 10 millimeter bead, bead cap facing down, just like that. And I'm gonna take it right above the bead, bend it just like that, bend it back with my fingers, And then I'm going to hang on to the tail with my fingers, go in with my cutters, and cut that tail. And I want to try to get the top loop facing the same direction as the bottom loop. I'm going to go in with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to close that loop, but I'm going to try to tuck it in to that bead cap. Just like that, and then close it nice and snug. Just like this. So there is one component. The way it's gonna be, I have this chain from my own stash. It is 3 by 5 millimeter link chain, and I have them in 2-inch sections. 2-inch sections, just like this. And then we're gonna connect each section of chain with a component. So we're gonna need 7 more components just like this. All right, so here we go. I have 8 components, and we're now going to connect all of these links of chain with a component. I have 4 millimeter jump rings. So I'm going to connect the jump ring to the last link in one of the chains, and then I'm going to connect it to one of the components. And close that jump ring. And I'm going to take another jump ring, connect it to the other side, and connect it to the last link of the next piece. And close that jump ring. All right, so now we're going to connect all of these links of chain just like this. All right, so here is this strand completed. And one thing we are going to do is we're going to use a thicker gauge jump ring on each side at the end. So I'm going to take one of my 6 millimeter jump rings and put it on the last link there. And do the same thing on the other side. All right, so there we go. We have the larger gauge jump ring, and this one is our longest strand at 24 inches. So now we're gonna do our smallest strand. So our smallest strand is going, and by smallest, I mean shortest. Our shortest strand is going to be using 2 pieces of this smaller link chain right here, and each one of these is 7.5 inches, okay? But these 2 pieces of chain are gonna be connected to a piece at the end. So I went ahead and started this piece, and this is only gonna be like 2 inches here at the end. So here we go. I went ahead and started it, and if you need a reminder on how to start it, you can just head back to that first strand. All right, so on this piece, we're gonna use all these silver beads. So we have these spacers from my own stash. I like the swirly design on them. And then these bead caps from my own stash. So we're gonna start with spacer. Bead cap facing up. Silver bead. Bead cap facing down. We're gonna go down to the other end, make sure everything is tucked. Just like this, and we're gonna repeat this pattern 3 more times. All right, so here is that entire component at the center. Of course, it is all silver, and I went ahead and closed it off. And if you need a reminder on how to close it off, you can always head back to that first strand. Now this is, I said 2 inches earlier, this is actually 3 inches. So it's 3 inches. So now we're going to connect this center component to the chain. And we are going to use the jump rings that are on each side and connect it to that last link. just like that. Close that jump ring. All right, and now we're going to connect the other side. So this here is the shortest strand, and this strand is 20 inches. So 20 inches is this smallest strand. So now we have all of the strands, and then now we're going to connect them at the end. All right, so I'm going to take my thicker 18 gauge jump ring, and I'm gonna open this jump ring, and I'm going to put the ends of one side of the necklace onto this. I'm gonna put the chain one with the 10 millimeter beads on it first, then the back and forth between the 8 millimeter and the spacer, and then the smaller one that's all silver, just like that. And I'm gonna close that jump ring. Then on the other side, I'm going to use one of my 6 millimeter jump rings. This is the side that I'm gonna put the lobster clasp on. And I'm gonna put the longest strand first, then the middle strand, then the shortest strand, just like this, then the lobster clasp, then close that jump ring. Now I'm going to close this one. Okay. So here is the necklace, and I'm going to go put it on I'm gonna go put it on the display so that we can see it better. All right, so here it is. Here is this multi-strand necklace. And I do like the way that it came out. I like the way that the silver and the white goes together. And I really like that third strand, the longer strand. And one thing that I did do, I did have to take out one section of chain in this longer chain here. When I originally put it on the display, this hung way too low. It was way down here. And I realized that I had measured it incorrectly. So the way that the final piece is right here is it has 7 of these pieces, 7 of the components with the lengths of chain on either side of them. And I think this is a much more appropriate distance between each strand. Almost looks like floating beads every 2 inches in the strand. So it's kind of nice how it gives that illusion with the 2-inch lengths of chain. I like that. So here you go, there it is. And if you liked this video and you want to see other videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and give me a like. Leave a comment. I absolutely love reading your comments. You guys are just so kind, and I definitely look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.